Hello, everyone out there in 4-H land. This is Nate Arnett, Extension Educator at Adventure Central, and I'm trying to give you some great information about workforce development resources that are out there that certainly our 4-H families, whether you're an advisor or a young person who's kind of looking at the opportunities that are there, might be able to take advantage of. And so this actually kind of covers two different sessions that were publicized for the 4-H conference, supporting youth in 4-H youth development. So that was geared a little more towards adults, session 215, and then 4-H workforce development and you, session 317, and that was more focused on the teens. So hopefully the materials that will be shared here are things that are going to help everybody move things forward. Um, Real quick, I am an extension educator located here at Adventure Central, and over the past many years have been focused around the area of workforce prep, workforce development, have managed some work-based learning programs here at Adventure Central, and most recently helped to put the Ohio 4-H Workforce Development Plan together towards the end of 2019. And so some of that will be referenced as I go through the presentation here today. We're working on building a number of different resources up that might be helpful and supportive. Uh, so the majority of what I wanted to share today, one is a really great video that I came across. So rather than me click on the link and make you watch it through my browser, certainly you can punch in that address and take a look at it. It's about 10 minutes. It's an animated video that's really well done and presents a number of great pieces of information. As far as perspective, the gentleman who pulled it together has a few other videos that are also on his site, and it's really useful information, I think, and thinking about choices that are ahead of us. And as we're kind of looking at alternative ways to learn and to think as we're in our quarantine state at the moment, I was reflecting and going, oh, what a wonderful time to be doing some um, looking around for career awareness opportunities for kids. It's a great time to get out and look at some of the online resources that are there. So, uh, and just to think a little bit about some of the opportunities that might be in front of us. So I encourage you to um, click on that, pull up that video, spend 10 minutes, reflect on it a little bit. Like, what did you hear in there? What were the pieces that maybe resonated with you, or things that you might have had questions about more? And to maybe have a conversation with somebody else around some of those. Encourage, if you're a teen, I encourage you to maybe watch it with your parents, and spend a few minutes talking about kind of what you saw and what you heard in there. All right, so that's the number one piece of information I wanted to share as part of this particular session as a resource. The second is, I'd mentioned earlier that we recently created a Ohio 4-H workforce development plan. And as part of that effort, we really tried to look at what are some existing resources that are already available, rather than uh, us trying to come up with our own framework and processes and everything. Um, in Ohio, we're very fortunate that back in about 2012, um, a number of our state organizations were beginning to think forward about workforce development and created this really amazing resource called Career Connections. The kind of jump off page is linked there on your screen. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to highlight some of the things that are included in there. Um, First of all, of course, there is a framework, and it's not different from what we had been utilizing in Ohio 4-H previously. Kind of focuses first on a career awareness, and moves more towards career exploration. And last, really focusing on career planning moving forward. And so um, those within their model are all tied to kind of particular grades, but the reality is they're all kind of developmental, and you have to start at the process of becoming aware, working on those skills through the exploration piece, and then the planning is more really kind of setting yourself up for success and some of the work-based learning opportunities and things that are available. So the framework is a good place to start, just to think about kind of how things are organized in the natural process. Uh, there is a readiness seal, and if you aren't familiar, Ohio's graduation standards are changing pretty considerably in the next few years, as far as not just having to meet academic standards, but then also some other opportunities to show competence and skill in a variety of areas. Um, those details are included as well on the website as far as graduation standards. But the Readiness Seal is a really neat tool that is available and encouraged for especially high school students to complete. It gives an extra seal to your diploma, and ultimately what it does is it's broken into 14 skills um, that are very frequently things that you will be seen practicing as part of your 4-H experience. With the Readiness Seal, it's a student kind of guided process um, where they're documenting how they gain skills, but then there's also 3 mentors that are required for the process. And those can be either in the education field, from kind of the community in a broad sense, or from the world of work. And sometimes what we do with 4-H could be construed as either work, or it could be considered as part of that community level. Um, more details certainly on that website about what the Readiness Seal is. It's a fairly simple process, and something that we're trying to really promote with our 4-H members is a opportunity. We know our 4-H members are already demonstrating these skills. It's just a matter of working either with an advisor or with your county 4-H professional um, to be able to help document that work, especially if you're doing something that's a significant leadership experience, like car teams leadership, um, junior fair board, junior leaders, camp counselors, something that would be construed kind of organized in a multi-event, multi-activity effort, again, where that you're practicing those leadership skills. Um, so check out the Readiness Seal. The actual tool is in there, as well as a rubric for what that means, and lots of good supporting documentation around it. And the nice thing is, if you as a student are interested in that, you can certainly initiate some of those conversations with your professional or an advisor, and also would include folks from your academic work. So um, it's kind of a choose your own adventure in some ways to pull that together, and it's not just has to happen within a certain project time period. It's throughout your high school career. So take advantage of that resource, and it does count towards some of those graduation requirements that everybody's going to need before too long. Some of the other resources that are available, again, on the Career Connection site, there are career pathways. So looking across the high demand industries in the state of Ohio, they have already kind of pulled out some key jobs, and by each interest area, they kind of track for a certain level of education. Here's kind of what the expectation is for the growth in this particular industry, expected earnings, those kinds of things. They would track that across multiple job types for that similar kind of content area. And so that's a really quick and easy way to go and look for just what kind of jobs are out there. What are some interests? If you're not totally sure what your interests are, there's also some interest, an interest survey that's in there through the Ohio Means Jobs. There's a online tool that you can go through that is mobile friendly. I took it. It didn't take but 10 minutes or so to walk through, and it kind of tells you some of the jobs that you might be more inclined or interested in. So another great tool or resource there, especially from a career awareness perspective. There's ACT and SAT prep and a whole lot more on that particular website. So I really encourage everyone to take advantage of what's already there. It's geared towards Ohio, so it's not talking about jobs in the entire United States or globally. They are really focused on the area of Ohio and what's going to be relevant and impactful for residents of the state over the next few years. So it's a great resource and really encourage everybody to take advantage of using that website. So it's a great place to really start. So those are really the things that I was hoping to get conveyed across as part of presentation that I was going to do, other than also encouraging everyone to just think about how they intentionally include those 21st century skills, the skills that are listed as part of the Readiness Seal, into the work and experiences related to our 4-H time that we share together. And also especially for our teens, to think about when you are doing these kinds of skill development opportunities, how well are you translating those skills back when you're filling out applications and participating in interviews and working on your resume? Having enough detail to be able to share with someone who's not familiar with what CAR Teens is, or what you do as part of the camp counselor program. It's great for the people who are aware of what that is, but many that you're going to encounter, especially as you kind of are evolving into next steps of your life, they may not have that good frame of reference. And so thinking about putting enough detail into those experiences of the skills that you've demonstrated, and enough of a brief description to talk about just really what that experience meant and how it was impactful, are great opportunities to really get the most benefit from the work that you've already done. And thinking about which of your experiences best share what it is that you're trying to convey to whomever. So if it's for a college application and you're really wanting to show leadership, you probably want some great examples of how you've led in the past. If you're looking for a particular job, certainly you want both some of the content related information of the technical expertise, but then also talking about the kind of employee you are. You're dependable, you're responsible, and how you've demonstrated that in the past by leading groups of your peers, and taking the time to be proactive in communicating what's going on with groups of people. So take advantage of those previous experiences. We know our 4-H members in many cases have had those. We just want to make sure you're getting the most benefit from those. All right. And last, of course, if you have more questions, desire more information, just have some reflections based on what you've seen or heard, don't hesitate to let me know. Happy to help out. We are working on creating a design team around 4-H workforce development, and hope to have some fresh new resources out with that group as things progress soon. So thanks again, and hope this was helpful and useful for you.